Hey guys, this is Angie, also known as The Light. Hope all is well. Like, subscribe, or if you'd like to make a donation to my channel, that PayPal information is always in my description box. Thank you in advance. Okay, so I was watching a video from ASSC Direct. He's on YouTube, he's a black guy. And to me, he's awesome. Okay, I've been watching him for about a year now. And he's actually on tour. So if you're someone who needs extra help, he is also a life coach. So he has his own business. So if you need extra help and tips, I would suggest you go to his seminar. He's in Texas right now, and he is on tour, going from state to state. If you're in the New York area, he'll be in New York on May 20th. The tickets are $30. No, he did not ask me to tell you this information. It's just that I'm looking into going to see him on May 20th. And if you need that extra boost, then go see him because he's awesome. He's amazing. ASSC Direct. And I'll put his page in my comment section, but if you go to my playlist, you'll definitely see one of his videos, so you'll know who he is if you haven't subscribed to him yet. Okay, so he made a video about being the narcissist's punching bag, and most of the time that's what I was. I was always that high supply for the narcissist, or I was the scapegoat, okay, that took the fall for everything, especially with my narcissistic grandmother. Basically, the narcissists are children. They cannot process anything. They cannot manage their emotions. They're immature emotionally and mentally. And they need somewhere they can throw that energy at, okay? If they're angry for the day, instead of processing it like a normal human being, they're going to throw and dump all the emotional shit on you because they rather not handle it. They rather just transfer energy. And this is why energy is very, very important. This is why it's important to surround yourself around positive people at all times, because energy can be transferred. Did you know that people actually can touch you and their energy can be transferred to your body? And we all know what negative energy can do to the body. It can cause cancer. It can cause all kind of diseases. It can cause headaches and just sickness and illnesses and depression. As we know, they're basically transferring their dark spirits into you. Okay, I'm gonna say the two people that transferred their negative energy into me the most was my narcissistic grandmother and my 5-6 year on and off relationship with this narcissist that I dated, okay, from like 21 to 26. Being that I lived with her, okay, the narcissist usually chooses, like ASSC Direct said, his name is Quinn, actually. Quinn actually said that you usually become the dumping ground for the narcissist when you are the closest to them. So that means you're the highest supply, or you're their wife, you're their husband, you're their children. Basically, the people that they live with, they're going to dump this shit on the most, okay? And that has been my experience. There was times that I would just randomly leave. I couldn't do it anymore. I was like, you know what? I don't even really care if I'm going to sleep on a train or sleep under a bridge. I had to get the hell out the house. So there was times where I moved out for a few months because I couldn't deal with, my narcissistic grandmother. There was a time that my grandmother's niece and her husband came to live with us. Okay, and these people were in their 50s. And they weren't stable, and they were like this their whole marriage. And I'm sure I heard before she even, this cousin even, got married, she was like a squatter pretty much. And for some strange reason, my grandmother decided to allow her niece to come live with us. And we have, like, in my house, there's like a upstairs apartment and there's like a downstairs apartment. So there was an apartment downstairs, and she allowed the niece and the husband to come live with us. And it was supposed to be temporarily, and it turned into 6 months. Okay. And she was so pissed because they weren't paying her rent on time, and they were like actually trying to borrow money from my grandmother, and she wanted them out. Okay, she wanted them out. So this one particular night, I was dating this guy who happened to be a narcissist too at the time. Oh my god. And I came home late one night, okay? And there's like a downstairs, a front door, and then my bedroom was upstairs. So I had to go up the stairs, and there's another door to our apartment area. And when I went to go open up the door was like not opening with my key. It looked like someone had like rigged the door. And I was just like, what the hell is going on? So I literally had to take like my debit card and kind of like try to push my way into the door. And then I heard my grandmother come to the door, and she was just like, you fucking slut, you fucking hoe, you're a prostitute, you probably was out selling your ass, you're probably drunk. And I was just like, whoa, what the hell? Mind you, I was sober. I just had came from a date. I went to like a show, a concert before the like dinner date. And I was just like, what the hell are you talking about? And I think it was like midnight, and it was a Saturday. Keep in mind, I'm in my freaking 20s at this time. Like, no, late 20s, okay? Nobody should have been saying to me I had a curfew, and coming home at 12 o'clock on a Saturday night was late, okay? So basically what was happening there, and I'm sure some of you have experienced this, she couldn't control them, so she had to control me. She couldn't scream at them. I mean, she could have, but she chose not to. I was the scapegoat. I was the dumping pal, okay? I was the emotional dumping pal, okay? And her feelings towards them, she took all that shit out on me. I wasn't doing anything. I was minding my business. I was working, you know, paying my way, doing my thing, respecting her home. I wasn't disrespecting her. And even after she called me a slut, a prostitute, or this or that, I still didn't curse back at her. I was in total shock. I was just like, what the hell is wrong with you? You know, and it was so funny because, you know, eventually they moved out. They left one day, didn't leave a note, they even left like things behind. That was their MO. And she was pissed. I mean, she was freaking pissed. And of course, she wanted to place that anger on me. She was always pissed off with me. And I was to be like, but I didn't do anything. You know, this is before I even knew what narcissism was, you know. So, I'm sure some of you have had certain incidents happen to you with the narcissist where they're going through something and they're mad at someone else, and then they'll just put all their shit onto you. Another example that I experienced being, you know, the narcissist's dumping ground was when I was dating a narcissist, and he basically would place all his aggression, his negative energy, his baby mama drama, his anger with his parents, his anger with having to pay bills, his anger with his baby mama, all kind of shit that he was going through. He would place all of that energy into me sexually, to the point where when I think back to it, our sex was always aggressive. You know, like after sex, I'm not trying to be graphic, but I have to explain these things to you because you might be going through this right now, and me saying something to you can help you, okay? So I'm not trying to be sexual here, but I'm keeping it real. Every time I would leave him, I would have like some type of mark on my body, okay? Now, some people are into kinky sex, and that's your business, but that wasn't something that I was into, okay? And I'm not really into it now either, but it was just like, it wasn't a pleasurable thing. It was just like, he was literally taking his frustrations out on me sexually. So basically, it would be like, I may have like a scratch on my back, or my behind hurt for him hitting it too hard, or my lips burned from him like biting me. He would put his narcissistic anger and energy into me sexually, okay? And that was his way. He was clearly a somatic narcissist. He was clearly being aggressive during sex to release that energy, okay? And he would never, like, if I said I wanted to have sex, he would never ever say no, okay? Basically the whole relationship was based on sex, all right? And that was horrible for me because, I felt, when I think back to it, I feel as if, that's right, you have to be very careful who you sleep with, because it's as if someone can literally take your soul through sex, all right? I became completely not myself. He was literally draining every ounce of light. And when you're a person of light, yes, you develop light and love at a rapid pace, but it was just like every time I got my spirit back up, he would have sex with me and he would drain me again, okay? And this continued for on and off for 6 years. 6 years he was draining me of my spiritual light. Another example was when I was, best friends with a narcissist, and he lived in another state, and every day he would call me and he'll be like, why didn't you pick up your phone? You're not picking up fast enough. And I'm just like, because I'm working, because I'm busy. Well, I don't care. And I to be like, you're tripping, you're bugging. And it will be he'll love to argue. So that was his way of getting out that aggression. He loved to argue. And we would get into these horrible, horrific arguments to the point where I would cry and I would fall asleep. Okay? And that made him feel great, honestly. Whenever there was something important that day, something awesome would happen. It's what the narcissist would do. They'll pick a fight on that day where something is really important to you, because they're draining you from that good thing, okay? They're draining your energy, because when you have something great happening to you, what? You're hype, you're happy, you're joyous, you just feel with that light, you feel with that joy, and they're going to come right in and they're going to take it, okay? So it could be a wedding, it could be a graduation, it could be a special event. All of a sudden, the narcissist wants to drain you and take your energy. So they'll make up some crazy, just sometimes it could be the dumbest thing. It'd be like, why did you leave the milk out? And they'll get into a full-fledged argument with you over why you left the milk out that morning. And maybe you didn't even do it. And then they'll be like, I know you did it, you're lying. Okay, so they'll even start fake-ass arguments with you just to drain your light, okay? If you live with narcissists, you gotta learn to not argue back. Don't give them what they want, okay? You gotta do what you have to do to survive until you're able to move out of the narcissist home. You're able to move away from them. You're gonna have to figure out how to just be silent sometimes. Don't argue back. Don't give them a reaction. Don't give them your energy, because that's what they're looking for. And I remember when I stopped arguing and I stopped listening to the best friend, he said, well, you always do this. You always listen to me. You always let me vent. And I said, not anymore. And I hung up on him. And I think that was the moment where he realized it was completely over between him and I. because I no longer allowed him to dump his shit on me. Think about it. Why would you let someone vent all their shit on you? That's even with my friends, even now. I don't want to hear all of that. Damn, and this happened, and he did this, and she did this. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. So now, if I have friends who just want to stick to their problem, they don't want to come up with solutions and bettering their life. If I keep giving them advice or, ways to get out of their situation, and I see they're not making moves, I kindly tell them, listen, I am not the friend for you to vent to. You're going to have to see a therapist, or you're going to have to call another friend. I'm going to give you solutions. I'm not going to sit and talk about the same problem. And this is your boundaries. This is what you're going to do. This is how you put up boundaries, because I don't want y'all to continue to be dumping grounds for people. You can't do that anymore. You're in a critical time right now. Y'all walked away from narcissists, or you're trying to walk away from narcissists. So it's time to put up boundaries. You can be a friend, but you have to have limits. Don't allow someone to keep talking about the same man, the same woman, the same job problems 100 and 1,000 times. No, 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 no. Be that friend that's going to give them advice, and you leave it like that. If they continue to bring up certain subjects, continue to just, yes, and another thing, don't allow people to just call you when they need to vent their shit to you. I don't answer people anymore. I don't care how much of a bitch I look like, how mean I look like. No, I'm going to protect me. I don't have time to sit on the phone or read text messages of negativity. You internalize negativity. And that's why we have to surround ourselves with like-minded people. Yes, of course. If somebody died or someone's sick, that's understandable. But when people keep repeating the same stories, the same drama, you don't have to sit there and listen to that. Maybe once or twice you'll let them vent. But when you see the person is not even making physical effort to make changes in their life, don't answer their phone calls anymore. I don't care if you've known them since 3rd grade. Don't answer their calls. It is not your responsibility as a genuine person or as an empath, or even a codependent. It is not your responsibility to be anyone's emotional shit bowl. Okay? So hopefully this information was helpful to you. But boundaries are very important. Don't be the narcissistic shit bowl. When you see that people are using you as an emotional dumping ground, that's what you need to do. Okay? You get the hell away from them. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Peace and blessings.